Hello, my name is Veronica Ramsey, and this is my video slash interview about why it is important to learn about fake news. I would like you to meet my dear friend, Allison. She is a research teacher, mom, and very good friend of mine, and I will let her introduce herself.
I'm Allison Williams, and I am a resource teacher at Rice Elementary School, and I have worked in kindergarten, first, second grade classrooms as a teacher myself, and I'm also the mom of a first grader and a 3-year-old.
So in this interview, I asked Allison several questions about the importance of facts, knowing the difference between fact and fantasy, and fake news. So let's get into the questions. Question 1. Why is it important for young students to learn the difference between reality and fantasy, also known as fiction?
Ooh, that's a really good question. It's important to know the difference because you want to know if what you're reading is something you should be learning from or something you want to be enjoying. And sometimes those lines can be a little bit blurry, but we want to make sure that we get the best information we can when it's our learning time, and that we understand some things that may not be really truthful when we're reading about like fictional things.
Question 2. Does fiction ever seem real? And if so, when? Real? Are there ever times when it seems real?
Yeah, sometimes they try to write, especially like historical fiction, they'll try to write about certain things that happened in history, and they want you to feel like you were really there, but maybe they don't know exactly what happened at that time, so they might make some of the stuff up. And so it's fiction, but it's set in a time that is something they want you to learn about. Or perhaps sometimes when we're trying to teach kids lessons about things, there might be a book that is like tells you the story of somebody who was not nice to their friend or something like that. But like we wouldn't really want to use someone's real story necessarily that might embarrass them, so we make it up.
Oh. Question 3. Have you ever heard of the term fake news? If so, how would you define it?
Fake news is a big thing right now where people are maybe using pieces of truth, but changing it in such a way that it leads us to believe something that may not be true. So, if you've ever read the book Mr. Peabody's Apples, the little boy saw his teacher take an apple and not pay for it, and he went around and he told everybody his teacher stole the apple. But in reality, Mr. Peabody had paid for it earlier. And so the news that the kids spread around, it was based on a piece of truth, but he didn't have the full story. So what he was telling people ended up being fake news.
Oh. Question 4. Why is it important for young students to learn about fake news?
Because it helps you to make really good decisions. So, for example, when I was teaching second grade, we did a whole unit on making good choices and making decisions about our bodies. It was tied into our health unit. And so boys and girls had read a lot in newspaper articles and stuff about how milk is really good for your body. But we started looking at it and realized that all of the ads about milk were put out by the dairy industry. So we were kind of curious about whether that was true or not, that you really do need milk. So then we started reading doctors' perspectives, and we realized that maybe that's not the whole truth, that for some people it could be good, or there's like a lot of nuances there. And we did the same thing with orange juice too. We looked at different orange juice ads that really seem to promote drinking orange juice and such. And um, saw also that people putting those articles out or those advertisements out were maybe not doing it in the public's best interest, but more for making money. And so we instead started looking at what the California Department of Health put out about what we should be eating as healthy food, and tried to look for more reliable sources.
Question 5 and question 6. Can you provide examples of instances you had a hard time deciphering between real and fake news? What helped you decide?
Ooh. Well, I just gave you my health examples. I'm gonna have to pause for a second.
Those were really good examples.
So right now there's like some news going on about the Amazon rainforest, and like it was on fire, and then people were like reporting that different people had started the fires and stuff. And I honestly don't know. It's hard for me to tell which news sources are credible. And I think that a lot of people are just speculating, and I don't even know to this day what the truth is about where those fires started. And so it's hard for me to tell which people are making claims to serve their own purposes and which people may be reporting things because that seems like the most data supporting it.
Question 7. What are the dangers of believing everything you read, see, or hear?
Well, sometimes it could get overwhelming, for one, because if you believe everything, then you have something that tells you to do this, and then something that tells you to do this, and you can't make those decisions. It kind of puts you in a paralysis. Also, it could lead you to making decisions that aren't the best for your health, or to spreading more rumors that fuel claims that aren't true.
Question 8. What advice would you like to give to first graders regarding any of the following topics: reality, fantasy, fake news?
My advice would be to read as much as you can, because reading fiction and information really helps you to grow as a thinker, and reading fiction can oftentimes help you to develop empathy and be nicer to others. And reading informational texts can help you to understand the world around us, but just always be very careful about whose work you're reading, and know that it is your lens and your filter through which you take in that information, and just be wise about that.
Well, thank you so much. I know my class is going to really enjoy listening to your answers. So from this interview, I hope that you learned that it is important to think critically when you read an article or view a video, commercial, etc. Anything you read, see, or hear, it is important to think about where the source is from, who the author is, what their intentions were when they wrote it or presented it, and that way you can make good decisions for yourself.